Is your garden soil healthy? Well, after 50 years of digging in the dirt, I've come up with 3 things that are a surefire way to improve your soil. Let's talk about it. The ground wants to stay covered. The most important element to a healthy soil is microbes. It's the microbes that are in the soil. The soil is full of microbes. And what they need is they need to be fed. So how do you feed your microbes? Well, mulch, organic matter, compost. Those are the best ways to feed your microbes. I stumbled upon this because I didn't want to weed. I started using this deep mulch, mixed mulch method. All organic material. I didn't realize I was feeding the microbes in the soil. And more studies are showing that the microlife is the key ingredient to your healthy soil and your healthy plants. So the more you can promote your microbes, the healthier your soil is going to be, the healthier your plants are going to be, and even in a case like this where I've got tons of pressure from predators, we're still going to grow decent sized food. These are nice. Just keep digging. Because you never know when you're going to get a big one like that. No, those little ones are really tasty. The better the life in the soil, the better the roots are going to be. The better they're going to produce. Number 1, you want to have microbiology in your soil. And that's bacteria and fungus and nematodes and arthropods and microarthropods and a whole host of other microbes. Can't you just buy a bunch of microbes and spread out on your garden? Here's the problem with that. Your microbes are going to be dictated by the amount of food available. So if you want to encourage your microbes by adding some kind of really high carbohydrate, say molasses or milk or something like that, you can spread that out. Yeah, you're going to get a really nice microbacterial bloom. But as soon as that food is exhausted, they're going to crash down to the levels that you had before, maybe even less. So having enough microbes is important for a healthy soil, and having enough food for those microbes is key to having healthy microbes. So what do you want to use for food? Well, and I think we do pretty good with a slow release food. So your mulches, your composts, they break down slower. And the most recent studies have shown that the plants produce an awful lot of sugars which they trade to the microbes. They do have a partnership, so the more roots you can have, the more bacteria you're going to be able to support. Better the nutrients for your plants, and each plant needs its own kind of minerals. And that's one of the main benefits of intercropping. It's also not a bad idea to let some of your weeds grow, which is counterintuitive to how we started. Wait, did he just say weeds? Well, cover cropping. I'm trying to get my head wrapped around that. But it does seem like if you can keep the ground covered either with a heavy mulch or compost, your cover crop, something that's going to grow short that you can plant into. Right here in this little section, it's not very big, but the mulch got a little thin when I had the cabbages growing. It got a couple pieces of grass, I just let that grow. We're going to mulch heavy over the top of this, and all this will go away. But we've got roots in the ground, we've got life in the soil. This is the newest part of the garden. Now I've seen the cross sections where they go out in the prairie, you know, they got 2-3 foot tall grass and other kind of weeds shoulder to shoulder. Then they do a core sample and those roots are going down 30 and 40 feet. Everything's growing shoulder to shoulder and everything is thriving. And I thought I'd experiment with it. And we got turmeric and we've got okra that just popped up, and we also had a volunteer butternut squash on the edge. Didn't seem to hurt them at all. So the more roots you can have, the more diversity of microlife you're going to have in your soil. I've always thought about tilled up rows and spacing in a garden. That's more for the machines and less for the plants. Now if you think about how America expanded, coming through the forests and crossed into the prairies, there was a lot of fertility in the ground. We put the plow to the ground, we turned it over, we exposed all of that life to the sun, to getting beat down by rain. Yes, America had some great harvests to begin with, but over time and over tilling, most of that life got destroyed. That variety disappeared and the harvest started to wane. They started using chemical fertilizers. The way we're doing it, a chaos garden, if you've got a patch that's open, either get some mulch on it, throw some seeds on it. And I thought we could talk about it here in this pathetic sweet potato patch this morning, simply because it's Saturday. And you know what Saturday means? We go to you and we celebrate what's going on in your garden. And Patrice and Autumn are digging sweet potatoes today. Check this out. Autumn and Patrice are punctuating their very successful year in the garden with this wonderful sweet potato harvest. This is great, guys, but they're not done. Check out the seedlings for their fall garden. Thank you for the motivation on this late summer day. Late summer day for sure. As a friend of mine said the other day, Oklahoma went from 105 to 65 like you were passing a state trooper overnight. All right, so having this thick layer of mulch protects the root system. And the better the life in that system, better the roots are, better your harvest is going to be. Let's see what we got here. The other thing about the microbes, check out the roots. They're not growing around this, they're not holding this together. Those roots are growing through that soil. That soil, it's nice and crumbly. It's got tons of little passages. It lets the water soak into the soil. It retains the water. And by putting the mulch over, it also moderates the temperature. But you can see those roots are in that soil, not around that soil. All that micro life, all the little dead creatures bind that together. So even with the groundhog just decimating this bed, the life in the soil, the roots under the ground are much bigger than the foliage above the ground. There you go. Probably could have left these in a little longer, but it was a gamble on whether the voles were going to get after them or whether we were going to get some. For the few plants we put out here, this actually has not been a bad little harvest. I was expecting to lose it all. Even with the deep mulch keeping most of the weed seeds from germinating, where we plant and we get it thin, we're still getting a piece of grass here or there, but I'm getting less and less concerned about it being here now that I know more about the roots in the soil. Under the deep mulch, do we have any peanuts? Guess we're going to be harvesting peanuts next. That is wonderful. The three main elements to healthy soil is microlife, which eats mulch and compost. It's also fed by roots. So keep mulch and compost, a good thick layer over your soil, then plant heavy and plant a lot of variety. The more roots you have, the more microbes you have. The more mulch you have, the more microbes you have. The more microbes you have, the healthier your soil, the better your plants. Then, as I keep telling you, the hardest work you're ever going to do in a deep mulch garden is harvest. You can do this too. And the purple beans are everywhere. Every one of these flowers making okra. And until next time, remember, take care of yourself, take care of your family. God bless you.